Hello and welcome to round one of the 2015 MX National Series. We have the Motul MX2, first moto on the line. Joe Stevens here with Aidan Williams and Brendan Harrison. Great to have you here, guys.
Great to be here, Joe. Exciting times for the first round. Obviously a lot of fast guys, a lot of expectations. Cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's definitely a full field. There's so many young kids that have came up. Track looks awesome, and yeah, I can't wait to get the season started.
Now the guys are just on the line. They've finished their parade lap. And we're getting ready for the gate to drop here for the first 30-minute moto in this Moto MX2 class. Now these guys are going to run one 30-minute moto for the day and one 20-minute moto for the day in their second race. That's the fixed format for the entire season. So switching things up a little bit here for 2015, and it's going to be interesting to see how these guys handle the format change.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting to see to go back to the 30-minute motos. You know, it definitely shows who's putting in through the weeks. Anybody can ride fast for a certain period of time, except, as you would both know as races, you know, 30 minutes is a long time to be flat out on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I personally love this format. You know, it really shows the guys that do put in, and like we were speaking about earlier, it's you can moto during the week, but it's completely different on race day, and that's why I think some of the, you know, I hope they don't, but some of the young kids may struggle a little bit on race day. You know, they've got such great competition, and now that you said back to traditional formats, it's going to show who puts in.
It really does. Now we've got the green flag up, and these guys getting ready to fire these bikes up. Now, if we look at the contenders here in this class, 2014 defending champion Luke Clout, 3 moto wins last year.
We see Cloudy right up tucked in there on the inside. I think he's about the 5th gate out, so looking for a nice jump out there, push the boys wide. It was interesting to see, Joe, you know, in qualifying we had a very up and down sort of format. Jed Beaton obviously went out on pole. Very exciting to see. Stepped up from the under-19s class onto the Serco Yamaha team. And, you know, you look back to 10th place where we normally only have 2 to 3 seconds. We've actually got, you know, 8 seconds back to 10th place, which is Nathan Crawford, who was a serious contender last year.
That's right. Now, we were just discussing, if you look at that GoPro, that awesome GoPro footage from track preview with Dan Reardon, the track looks about as different from that right now as you can possibly imagine at home, and we're only one round of qualifying and free practice from each class here today into the race. So what that means is this the discrepancies in time there from 1st to 10th, massive gaps in seconds. The track's very rutted, it's very technical, and if you don't get a clean lap, it doesn't translate to a fast time. Now that being said, if you don't get a start here today, guys, it's going to make life real tough.
Yeah, start's always essential. Not so much, however, I feel for these 30-minute motos. You know, obviously getting out front, getting yourself that clean vision, looking forward to the you know, what's ahead of you rather than worrying about what's behind you and battling coming through the pack. Definitely a big advantage, but, you know, us 3 boys, we went and walked the track, and Brendan, how deep were some of those ruts?
Yeah, the track is just amazing. Like you're saying, it's definitely beneficial to get a start, but I haven't said that. We have looked at the track, and there is multiple lines, and, you know, 30 minutes is going to cater for the guys that don't get a good start, but obviously getting a good start and not getting caught up with getting roosted the whole moto and having to, you know, pass and use your energy at the start of the race, it's definitely going to be a lot easier.
I think everybody needs to take their hats off, definitely, to the Horsham Club. They've done an amazing job setting this track up. Every rider would have noticed on the drive up here, very, very dry conditions. Most of the paddocks, you know, very little grass, if any, mostly dirt. Very, very dry conditions up here, and the club has absolutely turned it on for us.
Certainly have, and in regards to the club and Horsham, we can't forget the Horsham Council and the backing for the event that they've really put in to make this, well, as you see, Dylan Willis there getting a little bit squirrely on the parade lap. The Horsham Council and the Grampians in this area, a huge tourist draw and a big reason why we're back here racing MX Nationals in 2015, so can't thank them guys enough.
Just look at the lines in that corner, Joe. Isn't that insane? We've only been qualifying down, and we've got 5 solid lines through one corner.
Yeah, we were just saying how good the track does look in qualifying and free practice, which is sometimes not the best sign that the track's going to be good at the end of the day, Brendan. It can sometimes go away.
Yeah, I think for sure. It's even some of the spots here you can see where it's getting a little bit harder from this morning, and you can see they're throwing water down there, which is going to make it very slippery. And like we were saying before, a bad start, you know, these guys run Teros, so, you know, they can go through all their Teros at the start of the race if it's going to be muddy like this also.
The camera not doing any justice as they come up that hill, but when in the motos you see them hit that uphill triple, that is a huge jump.
Really is. Even we were just discussing then, you know, we walked the track yesterday, and you go, oh yeah, you know, uphill triple, it didn't look that spectacular or that huge. Then I went out and watched the first few laps of MX2 free practice, and you've seen the guys hit it for the first time, and they were really stretching. Even the guys on the 252 strokes were pulling up, and they were making sure that front end was high, because if they were going to come up short, that's not a jump you want to case. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who can do that jump consistently in the motos where there's bikes around them and the track is rough. Also, another point I want to touch on real quick is the fact that somewhat of a resurgence with the 250F motorcycles coming back in for this year.
Yeah, definitely. Last year we saw a lot of two-strokes in the class, and for many of the rounds they were very dominant. You know, they came in and they really stamped some authority and showed people that two-strokes, they're still here and competitive. However, this year, you know, you might hear a couple going around. It's a very uncommon occurrence, and the 250Fs, they've come back, and they're come back really fast. Jed Beaton, obviously, our first qualifier, he laid down a 156, so a very fast lap there for Jed. Awesome stepping up from the under-19s field. Then we go back to Luke Clout and Dylan Wills. You know, it's 250s everywhere. Last season we saw the 252 strokes coming in, and they were just dominant.
Well, Willsy being the first 252 stroke there in third. Then you got Jay Wilson in fourth on the 250F, Reese Carter on the 250F, and moving back, Caleb Ward off of the two-stroke onto the 250F for this season, along with Hamish Harwood again. So the KTM manufacturers really pushing them guys back on the 250F machines, which is awesome to see. Now, as you can see, full gate here in the Moto MX2 class. Fantastic signage. This facility is looking awesome. And I'm going to put you guys on the spot right now. I'm still going for a two-stroke hole shot. I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be the number 7 right there next to the starter's box of Jack Simpson. But what do you guys think?
Oh, I mean, you really can't go past Luke Cloud. He spent a lot of time, you know, I was catching up with Cloudy yesterday. He spent a lot of time in the US. Obviously, starts a massive thing that they do focus on over there. So he's going to be fast out of the gate. He's got a very competitive bike, but I've got to take my hat off to Jed Beaton.
And I'm going to put my money on Luke Arbon, number 54, the Husqvarna.
The hashtag 63 horsepower from 2014. I think he's lost a few horses on that 250F now, but I know he's a solid starter as we've got the 30-second board up. These guys are shaking out them nerves. The 5-second board flips. Here we go. The first moto of the 2015 MX National season. Gate is down. Who's it going to be? Good jump for Riley Graham. Good jump for Dylan Wills there on the 64. Riley Graham on the outside, so it looks like we got the two-stroke out front. Dylan Wills, Riley Graham, the 81 machine there. See Nathan Crawford, there's Jay Wilson going around the outside. Wow, this is getting pretty hectic here on this first lap, guys. They go through the rhythm section.
Yeah, Jay Wilson came out of that corner about 4th or 5th, just in one straight and one corner. He looks like he's put himself up into the second place position and very comfortably.
As you can see, Jay Wilson, he's had the whole pre-season racing already, and you can see by now already moving to the lead. Race intensity is already there, so you can tell by like we were saying before, the race fitness and race pace. He's ready to go. He
is. I actually had a conversation with Josh Coppins, his team manager in New Zealand, whilst qualifying was going on, and Josh had a lot to say about Jay's pre-season. He thinks he's ready to win over here in Australia now, so let's see what he can do. Dylan Wills not making it easy for him though. Willsy, the under-19s Supercross champion from 2014. Oh, he gets a bit squirrely there in them ruts. Looks like Jay Wilson's given all he can handle as Luke Clout comes around the outside of Takashi, the Japanese rider on the 250F Kawasaki machine there.
Yeah, throw a little shout out for Takashi there. He's former Japan champion. He's come back to Australia, which is racing the full series this year, and I'm excited for him this year.
Tucker, a very exciting rider. We saw him come out to Gladstone last year and really put it to a lot of the lights guys. Like, they did not expect what the pace that he was able to lay down. So shout out to Tucker. But here we have Luke Cloud and his former teammate Jay Wilson out in lead, and he looks like he's comfortable, ready to go.
It really does. Now, if you look at Jay Wilson, I think Cloudy's got a point to prove this year. I talked to him yesterday. You know, last year suffered from glandular fever.
Wills tries to sneak up the inside.
Not making it easy for Cloudy. He's pushed him all the way to the outside, but Wills gets cross-rutted. This track is super technical already, but like I said, talking to Cloudy yesterday, the health issues he had last year, which I'm sure affected his confidence in his results, seem to be gone. And from talking to him yesterday, like you said, Aiden, pre-season in the States, he's definitely got a point to prove, and blows by Jay Wilson like he's standing still. Little nose wheelie there. Yeah. That's confidence right there, guys.
Yeah, Luke Clout starting the championship exactly the way he wants. You know, he already holds that #1 plate. He's out there to prove a point, definitely, as you said, Joe. And as he goes past his former teammate, he's showing exactly why he holds that
Jay
#1
Wilson
plate.
there, not giving up.
Wilson cuts to the inside. They're going bar to bar down this rhythm section. Cloudy's got that elbow tuck scrub style, gets a bit cross-rutted. We got a battle going on here, guys. We're only 2 minutes into this first moto. I think these guys are definitely pushing hard, and yep, Cloudy's got it.
So Jay Wilson had the inside on that first turn, on that corner there, but Luke Clout able to hold down the momentum as Wilson tries to go around the outside, squares him up. So many lines across this circuit. It's going to be a very interesting day's racing. We've got so many passing opportunities.
Awesome to see Takashi in third. The Victorian privateer there, Riley Graham, in 5th place. Riley actually raced in both series this year, doing the off-road series, the AORCs, and the MX Nationals. So he's a busy privateer who works a 9 to 5 during the week. Wow, Cloudy just hanging it out. Them jump faces must still be pretty slippery down in the valley. Some of the shadows have only just lifted here. It was very cold here this morning.
One rider we can't see up the front is the number 12 machine of Jed Beaton, our pole position. We see the 124 having
his problems there.
Yeah, that's Mitch Norris. Another one of the local Victorian guys having some severe problems there. It is Luke Cloud, however, out front. As we said, though, Jed Beaton not at the front. He was our fastest qualifier, but unable to get the start. Luke Cloud getting very squirrely.
All sorts of sideways. This track is very technical. As Wilson goes to the inside, he's going to put a shoulder on him. Wow.
As we were explaining earlier, that you can see the track's been watered, and that's where these guys they rode first thing this morning when the track didn't really have that many ruts, and it was really tacky and soft. It's gone to hard pack. They've thrown water on it, which is making it super slippery.
Oh, Luke Cloud, huge case.
You can see those guys stretching the triple out. They're just making that. Well, actually, didn't quite make it then. So
Luke Cloud is going to need a lawyer for that case right there. That was huge, but I think he's going to shake that one out and keep focused because he is on a mission right now. But as you see Jay Wilson behind him, when Jay was out front, Clout wasn't making many mistakes. Now Luke is out front. Jay sort of got the advantage. Sometimes on these technical tracks, it's real easy to analyze in second what the guy in front of you is doing wrong. So bit of cat and mouse going on here.
Especially with such a long motor. There's so many lines out there on the track, places that Clout was a little faster when he was behind Jay, even though for a short time he could see those lines that Jay was using and able to use them to his advantage. Now, Jay's behind him. This is a very long moto. He can track onto the back of some of Luke's lines and go for it.
He can. Now, if you look at last year, Luke Clout, round one, he was only 4th place overall at Broadford. So typically, seeing as that was his rookie year in the MX2 class, we can't, say too much of a pattern for his performances, but he's starting a lot better than last year. Right now, taking a look over his shoulder. Look to me there, guys, that Takashe was starting to put some hooks into the back of Jay Wilson.
Yeah, Tucker, he's a fast guy. It's interesting to see how these guys all go for the 30-minute moto. It's been quite a long while since we've ran full 30s for the Lights field, but Tucker, he's a very impressive rider. Came out and showed a lot of the guys. So if he can get some hooks into the back of Jay Wilson, maybe even possibly make the pass, I wouldn't be surprised if he can track onto the back of Luke Clout and see what happens for the end of the race.
The one guest ride Takashe had last year out there at Gladstone, very fast at the start of the motos, but dropped anchor pretty hard, had some mechanical issues. So he's a fast starter, we know that. If he's doing the whole series, I'm sure he's prepared to go the 430, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. But looks right now that Luke Clout just starting to inch away from Jay Wilson. As you see Takashe there keeping number 6 in his sights in that JCR, Josh Coppins Racing Yamaha machine. Now, like I said, talked to Josh this morning and discussed, team manager there, Josh Coppins, discussed Jay Wilson's deal, and basically he's a full team rider over there in New Zealand. Coppins is helping him out over here, but it's not in the budget for him to be a full team rider for the full season. So Josh is coming to as many rounds as he can and helping out Jay, but Jay's definitely not on the luxury that Luke Clout is of being on a full funded team for the MX National season.
Yeah, I think Luke is definitely trying to prove a point this weekend. Like I also interviewed him yesterday, and he is here to win and nothing else. And he seemed he was definitely confident about his opinion, and I think he's really going to try to just check out and make a statement this race.
You see Riley Graham, 52, has got around the 64 there of Wills. So, like I said before, Riley Graham, best finish last year was a 4th place at the final moto at Coolum. And he's been doing the AORC, the off-road series, just last week at round 1. So a 30-minute moto for Riley is going to be like a walk in the park after doing the 2 and 3 hour endurance races at the off-roads.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of endurance goes into those off-road races. Many hours go into it. However, I feel the intensity, it's a little different coming into motocross. There's a lot more nerves sitting on the start line. Obviously, round 1, it's big pressure, It's anybody's game. We come in here very blind, not really knowing who's the fastest, who's the fittest, who's really been putting in the hard yards, but I think Riley Graham's going to handle this race just fine.
Now, as you see behind that pack there, we just started to see the number 33 there of Reese Carter and the number 7 of Jack Simpson just creeping in the frame. Carter's on the back of Wills now, so Wills, I'm going to go out and say maybe with that whole shot, he's pumped up a little bit, he's tensed up. First MX2 Moto Pro Moto of his career. Awesome way to start out with a whole shot, but also not the most relaxed way to start out your pro career, getting the whole shot and have everyone breathing down your neck. As Carter goes around the 64, Carter's off the track. That's going to there's the number 12. Beaton's just got around Simpson and Carter, so I was about to say, guys, we haven't seen Jed Beaton yet, and there he is.
Jed Beaton, our number 1 qualifier, steps up. I think he's another guy, you know, very similar page to Cloudy. He's got a point to prove. Injured last year at the end of the Under-19s title. While he actually had the red plate, how do you think he's going to go this year?
I personally think he's going to do really good. He's a great kid. He works really hard, and like we were speaking about earlier, he will put the motors in. He puts the work in, so he's going to be one of the guys that'll be there at the end of the moto. So, you know, he may not have got a good start, but he's put himself in a pretty good position.
Carter's going to jump over the top of him, just to the side, as we switch back to that number 1 Serco Yamaha ride of Luke Clout. Cloudy's riding smooth, and he is checked out the last 2 laps, pulling a tear off that ski jump. We are 8.5 minutes into this first 30-minute moto, and if this is anything to go by for the defending champion, it might be bad news for the rest of this field in 2015.
Yeah, Clout, all clear vision out front. He can pretty much dictate his entire race from here, Joe. As you said, Wills, he looks like he might have pumped up a little bit. It's a whole lot of pressure, you know. People don't understand. Coming to a race of this caliber, there's so much pressure following behind you. Luke Clout, he's done it all before. He's seen it all before, and he's won the championship before. He's come out here. He's got the clear vision. As we see him actually
getting a bit creative there.
Yeah.
I hope that's not going to bite Cloudy if one of the officials sees him, because them markers are the track. But Cloudy, take a look over his shoulder. Pretty happy to control the race from the front at this point. It's what he's used to doing in his amateur career. Spent a lot of time in America. A member of the Millsaps training facility for a lot of years. It's getting a bit squirrely there. As you can see, the dirt here, very sticky, very tacky, and in some areas it is jumping up and biting these guys because, as we discussed earlier when we did the track walk, it's very tacky on top, but it's still got that hard base, which when it gets the water on it, gets very slippery.
Now, Brendan, you yourself have spent a fair bit of time in the US racing. How do you find the differences in training and the way they go about things over there in comparison to here?
The comparison is, it's just they're so intense there. There's so many people and so, you know, population, and there's so many guys that it's just so intense. The tracks are always groomed perfect, so you can always ride at full intensity. It's just funded a lot better there, and you know, I think the Australian sport is growing rapidly now, which I think is really good. You know, they're starting to promote it right. We're getting great riders. We're actually getting international riders, which is awesome. So yeah, I think the way we're going, we can definitely make it happen here.
The MX National Series is on the up every year. Entries are bigger, and the manufacturer support is getting bigger every season. Now Luke Clout ticks off another lap.
As we're following Luke Clout, you know, he has put the gap definitely on Jay Wilson. However, in the back of the shot, when we see them come in, Takashi Katsuya, he looks like he's chucked in those hooks into the back of Wilson, as you said, and he looks like he's ready for a battle.
Well, there's the number 6. Now, I hope we can get a shot of Takashi's pit board here. Can we? Oh, it's not quite in frame, but I noticed it a few laps ago, and it was pretty funny to see. He's actually full Japanese riding on that pit board. Now, for Luke Clout, when that pit board comes out for Takashi, for Jay Wilson, when he sees that pit board with Japanese all over it, he doesn't know what his mechanic's telling him. So he definitely knows Takashi's behind him, and Takashi, he's riding pretty good here today. A little bit surprised to see him this far up front at the first moto.
He carries a lot of speed into the outside of that corner, really looking to get the pass done here early on Jay Wilson. Maybe looking to see if he can get up to Clout's pace at the front there.
Well, we go around the outside. He's taking a long way round. Wilson stands him up a little bit. Takashi pulls the tear off. This is quite a good battle now. To me, guys, Jay Wilson normally rides a little bit more aggressive than this. You think he's sort of pacing himself?
Well, you know, it is a 30-minute moto. These are very long races. It takes a whole lot to get around for the full 30 minutes. But as you said, Jay Wilson's normally one of the guys on the track that we picture to be the aggressor. As we see Tucker try to go to the outside.
Tucker cuts the angle, snowplows the front end. Definitely a little hard to make anything happen off that line, as we see Reese Carter in the background.
One thing we very rarely complain of is so much traction. However, it almost seems as he goes to dip in that front wheel there, Brendan, too much traction.
Yeah, so I think also, like I explained earlier, they've thrown some water down, so there's going to be inconsistency of traction. So there's going to be some turns that are going to be super grippy, and they can really push the bike and really push the front end in. And then there's also going to be the turns where it's still going to be slippery, like here right now, there's going to be water, and they can't quite push the turn as hard. So, you know, that's why these guys are professionals, and they, is that good? I think that's Cloudy.
No, I'm not sure who that was. We didn't get an ID on the screen there. Maybe it could make things interesting. As we see Jay Wilson still leading Takashi.
Tucker certainly looks like he's faster in that more high-speed section of the track, not so much coming up the hill. As we see down the start straight, Tucker, he's going to chuck it in nice and deep here, maybe look for an inside line.
He's making him work for it. Wilson
all the way around the outside.
Wow. Tell you what, that JCR Yamaha's got some legs, because every time Tucker draws up next to him, Wilson is able to make it work.
Jay Wilson, a very experienced rider, held off that line very well.
And I can tell you right now, Tucker's bike is not slow one bit. So here we go, wait for, it was Clout.
Yeah,
so
we
here
look
we
like
go,
we've
Jay
lost
Wilson,
race
number
leader.
one position.
So this is now the battle for the lead. Takashi Katsuya putting all sorts of pressure on Jay Wilson. This is the section where he looks a little bit faster to me, Joe.
Yeah, he's pretty fast in the flowing sections. Jay's starting to utilise that Luke Clout line there on the insides. It's Riley Graham's catching these guys.
Still
the
up there.
Victorian privateer, but here's what I want to talk about real quick, guys. Luke Clout, 3 moto wins last year. Worst moto score was 18th position at Wanneroo. His average off the podium finish was a 7th place. But Luke Clout at Murray Bridge, I don't know if you recall, last year he was leading 2 motos and he went down in both of them out front. Now, he's gone down again with pretty much the race in the bag here. Takashi's going around the outside of Wilson. He's taken a long way round. Taka gets the lead, so that's Takashi Katsuya out front. Wow, this round is throwing up some serious surprises right out the bat. As Wilson goes to the inside, he's going to try and shut the door. Taka's got the drive up the hill, but touching back. Wow, Jay Wilson, he's riding super relaxed, very confident, just doing what he has to do.
We'll just read back through the results. So it is Jay Wilson in front. Following him is Takashi Katsuya. A very impressive ride from him. We go back then to the former leader, Luke Clout, who unfortunately did have an incident. Riley Graham, the local Victorian rider behind him. Then we go back to Jed Beaton in 5th place. Reese Carter, Nathan Crawford and Dylan Wills follow out them, with Duran Stapleton and Wade Hunter rounding out your top 10 guys. So a very stacked field that we have this year. You know, there's been a few guys coming from the under-19s, definitely making a statement. However, Jed Beaton, our fastest qualifier, his best lap in this race is 3 seconds off the pace.
He's making moves to the front, but like I said before, without that start, without that clear track, very hard to flow. Now, looking outside of the top 10, we have guys like Luke Albon, Caleb Ward, Jack Simpson, guys that I picked in my Moto Online Hot Picks predictions before this weekend to take Moto wins here today. So this is a very stacked field, and you know, if you're not getting a good start, you're definitely making life hard for yourself here at Horsham.
As you can see the blue flag there, so which means the slower riders are getting lapped have to get out of the way for the race leaders so they can continue racing.
15 minutes in, that's pretty early in the day to be getting lapped. Shows how
tough the track
tough this track really is.
Not only that, but how fast these front guys are going. They put in a lot of work through the week. Jay Wilson obviously just got back from New Zealand, won the New Zealand Championship actually, so very impressive result from him. Tucker, not a guy that we know a whole lot about, you know. He races quite a distance away. But he's come over here, he's running a solid 2nd place, and he looks like he's still putting the pressure to Jay Wilson. Brendan, a question to you. How does that change your mentality? When you've got a rider that close behind you for that long, does it change what you're thinking?
Oh, definitely. You know, personally for me, it's, you know, I'd rather check out or be the guy in 2nd position. Because you don't know, that guy can be sitting there, he can be foxing with you, you don't know what he could be doing. And sometimes you're going to think, you know, is he actually doing that? So it's going to put more pressure on you. But then again, having saying that, Jay Wilson needs to really look ahead and not actually worry what about is behind him.
Well, that's true. When someone's behind you for as long as, you know, we've got about 10 minutes into this moto now, they've been behind each other, eventually Wilson's going to stop worrying about him. He knows he's going to show him a wheel, but he might not be able to make the pass stick. Now, there's one thing I want to touch on real quick. Brendan, you yourself as a rider as well, you would probably notice this. Jay Wilson has been working under Josh Coppins. Josh Coppins, long-time veteran in the world GPMX scene. Very different riding style to Australia and America. Very smooth, a lot on the pegs, longer races, rougher tracks. Now, Wilson to me looks nothing like he did last year. His riding style is completely different. He's standing up a lot. And right here, I was standing on that scaffolding there this morning where everyone's viewing. I was talking with Josh Coppins, and all the riders were coming through in the lights class. They were panic revving, they were scrubbing, the bikes were in the wrong gear, and Josh was just laughing and shaking his head. And I've read an interview with Josh a few weeks ago where he says that his focus and Jay's focus working with him was to smooth Jay out and bring that European influence into his riding style. And with this technical, rough and rutted track, it seems to have paid off dividends right now in this first moto of the 2015 season.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like you said. There's definitely a change in his riding style, and you know Jay was one of the bad ones for revving and panic revving and over revving his bike, which you know when your bike hits the rev limiter, you're not going anywhere. It sort of hits a stop. So I can definitely notice that riding, and it's really definitely working for him.
Yeah, a lot of rolling speed, and definitely not the Jay Wilson we saw last year. As we see, even running that number 6, he looks like Josh Coppins out on the track in that Fox gear on the Yamaha. So Taka's hanging in close, and so is the 52 of Riley Graham. Luke Clout now in 4th, Jed Beaton 5th, Nathan Crawford coming out of the under-19s class. He is the first graduate behind Jed Beaton from the under-19s last year. So the under-19s guys faring pretty well. Dylan Willis, Duran Stapleton moving into 8th, Wade Hunter 9th, and Caleb Ward moving into the number 10 position. So Caleb Ward, the most moto wins out of anyone last year in the MX2 category, definitely not starting out the way you would want this season.
No, definitely not. And as you said earlier, Joe, you know, we've got the names of Luke Arbon, Jack Simpson. These guys are outside the top 10, outside the top 15. I mean, Luke Arbon, personally, he was my pick for the title. So it's interesting to see. You know, we come to Horsham, they've prepared such a fantastic venue. However, we have such these fast guys outside the top 10.
It's good to see in the lights class. Talent was a little bit thin last year. Most of the talent was in under 19s, in my personal opinion. And you see all the fast under 19s guys have stepped up, brought that speed, and I think the veterans know that the young guys are coming, so they're up in their game. But, whoa, Jay Wilson getting caught up, and so is Tagashay. But you know what? I am looking at that number 52 of Riley Graham. This guy drives trucks for a living, Monday to Friday. He makes it out to the practice track when he can.
Not a full-time racer.
Not a full-time guy. Has a small parts budget from KTM and gets help with some bikes. But you know what? He's got nothing to lose right now. He's running third in this opening moto, and I am super impressed with Riley Graham.
Not only that, you know, this is not a support class. This is the premier class and the premier race meetings in Australia. Riley Graham, to work a Monday to Friday, you know, sort of a 9 to 5 schedule, to come out here, run this sort of pace, and he's running it consistently. I think we're a little over 20 minutes into this moto, and he is still solid there in third place, actually getting the pass made on Luke Clout, last year's championship winner.
It's pretty impressive to see Riley Graham riding so well, but looks to me like Jay Wilson's controlling this race from the front. Not too stressed about Tagashay being behind him. Wilson's just ticking off his laps, and like you said, Brendan, looking ahead and riding his own race.
Yeah, definitely. So, and also going back to Riley Graham, as you were saying, he's done a lot of enduro. So I don't think the longer motos are going to be any sort of effect to him at all. So he may start getting better.
As we say, 20 minutes into this race, 10 minutes to go. Graham, not the guy I'd want behind me, as we mentioned, with that off-road experience last weekend at the Australian Off-Road Championship. Now, Tagashay, like we said, Aiden, every time the fast section comes on, he's back on Jay Wilson.
Yeah, no, it looks like he almost backed off for the last sort of 3 laps, you know, regained his composure, had a little bit of a look what Jay was doing, and now he's trying to mount a charge again. So interesting to see the different style. As you spoke about, Jay Wilson really mixing up his style. He comes into one of those corners very far outside, you know, very much on the pegs, not so much aggressive. However, we have Tucker, you know, sitting down a lot earlier, very aggressive. Tucker's trying, you know, every different line possible on the track.
Tucker's definitely a little bit smaller than Wilson, but Wilson's not one of the taller riders on the circuit either. Now, Brendan, here's what I want to ask you, long-time veteran in the MX National Series. 30-minute moto, is it something that the riders would do in terms of managing their energy and then looking to push towards the end?
You know, I personally, I never did that, but I guess it's each for their own. But there is going to be some of these guys, like you may see Beaton or Clout now. He's maybe taking a breath, and like you were saying earlier, Aiden, you know, Takashi might have taken a breath for those 3 laps, and he's ready to go for this last, you know, 5-10 minutes, and he's going to put on a charge. So Jay Wilson's had the pressure the whole moto of trying to be in front and trying to hold the lead. So, you know, it's using a lot of energy also.
Luke Clout, I just saw out of frame there as they was coming up the hill to the triple. Clouty was making a move on the outside of Riley Graham, so let's see what these guys have done around the finish area. As Tucker runs it up the inside of Jay in the mechanics area. The double-double, quite a technical section there. Double-double tabletop down the factory pit lane. Super impressive to see all the big rigs rock up.
So it is Luke Clout now taking over the 3rd place position from Riley Graham again. Unfortunate for Clouty, you know, going down. It is the first moto, a lot to prove, but it's still a solid 3rd position. We go back then to Riley Graham, Jed Beaton, Nathan Crawford, Dylan Wills, and Wade Hunter in your top 8. Reese Carter, Luke Arbon. There we go, the name we mentioned. He's moved up inside the top 10, just made a pass on Caleb Ward. Then we go back to Jack Simpson. Another rider we haven't spoken a whole lot about, you know. He was off the bike last year, still came to every round of the Nationals. Dylan Leary picked up some support this year. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. Yeah,
Dylan Leary. I talked to Dylan this morning, and he's a guy that I talked to quite a bit, and he was just so excited to be here. Finally made it through a pre-season. He's had 2 ACL reconstructions in as many years. Had some bad luck, but good to see Leary out here giving it his all, and he's stoked to be here. Tucker goes around the outside, gets out of shape. This track is so technical. If you move a few inches off that line, but you know what?
But he's there.
These guys better get a hurry on because Luke Clout's coming in a big way.
You know, I personally think Tucker, he needs to get a little bit more aggressive, and he needs to make this pass happen. He's tried a lot now, and I personally think he needs to get out and check out. Like you said, Clout's there. Clout's ready. And he's here to win. He's not going to be nice about his passes. So
on that last lap, Luke Clout was the 2nd fastest guy on the track, following Jed Beaton with a 2:05. Jay Wilson and Tucker both on 207s, you know, so he's 2 seconds a lap quicker.
And there is Jed coming into frame. Sorry, Aiden, behind Luke Cloud, just down the hill. So these boys better get a hurry on, because if Cloudy and Jed are moving,
he is coming fast.
they
Look
are
at
coming. Here we go, Tuckers. He's definitely feeling the pressure now from Luke Cloud. We go to the finish. Cloudy over the front of the bike. We are 23 minutes into this moto, so we've got plenty of time for this to get interesting. And I don't think we could have asked for a better scene for this first moto, guys. This is getting awesome.
It looks like we have 4 of the top riders in this championship about to come together. Luke Cloud and Jed Beaton right in frame, coming strong.
Here we go, guys. Let's hope no one makes a mistake. We want to see some clean racing. Tucker runs up the inside again of Jay Wilson. That's got to be about the 20th time he's tried to pass him in this first moto. Cloudy up the inside. Cloudy's not one known for being too nice with his passes. He'll move you if he has to.
Yeah, so I think now, you know, Tucker's getting a little bit desperate. You know, Takashi, he needs to make this pass happen, and he knows that. He can feel...
Luke Cloud makes the
already
pass,
got
puts him back to
there
third.
you go.
Too late. So
2 seconds a lap quicker, though. You know, it's not surprising that he was able to chuck the wheel. Look at Jed Beaton, though, coming. There's only 2 riders on the track right now running 205s, and that is both the Serco boys, Luke Cloud and Jed Beaton. So exciting to see what happens here. If Jay Wilson, can he raise the intensity? You know, we spoke a little bit about maybe he's conserving some energy. Maybe he is going flat out. Luke Cloud, though, 2 seconds quicker. Can Jay Wilson find what he needs to take this win?
Well, I think we're going to see right now what Jay Wilson and Luke Cloud have got, because Cloudy's just blowing down doors here and moved through the field after crashing. To me, if Luke Cloud can catch and pass these guys from the ground, that's a big mental blow.
Yeah, and also another point that I want to put across is I explained earlier that Jay Wilson has been over in New Zealand racing, and I know those motos are only 20 minutes. So he's been racing, he's had a good season, but you know he's past that point right now. So
Jed Beaton looks to put on the inside move on Tucker. I believe he's made the pass as Luke Cloud goes up the inside of Jay Wilson also. So both the Serco boys moving up a position. Jay Wilson, look, you know, he is looking like he's struggling a little bit. However, Luke Cloud and Jed Beaton's pace is just unmatchable. It'd be interesting to see, you know, we've got 6 minutes left in this moto, plus a lap, so it'd be interesting to see if Jed can actually get up and challenge his teammate for the win. Already. Bang.
Jed around Jay Wilson, and you know what? If I was Luke Cloud, I'd be worrying more about Jed right now, because Jed is coming.
And he's come through the pack.
This technical rutted track suits Jed's style. He's very smooth, rides over the front of the bike, and you know, he's coming on his teammates, so Jed coming through from outside a top 10 start as they've left they've left Wilson and Takashe 3rd and 4th for dead. So looks like Serco Yamaha 1-2. Definitely a good start to the season for these guys.
Luke and Jed, both guys that I know very well through the pits and outside of motocross racing actually. Jed, yeah, he's had an amazing off-season. This is the first off-season he's actually come through completely injury-free. He's got a statement to prove. He stepped up to the Serco team, you know, from under-19s, unable to finish the championship. And now he's putting it to Luke Cloud. Cloudy, we know he's got the pace. As he takes a look back, actually.
Cloudy takes a look back over your shoulder. Now, to me, that's a sign of weakness. If Jed Beaton sees that big number 1 looking behind him, he goes, all right, this guy's worried about me. Cloud took another look over his shoulder. And Luke Cloud, last year, like I mentioned, Murray Bridge a few times, leading races, getting very flustered and going down. Something that he is known for, and I think that's something that he's aiming to fix this season. But Jed Beaton
on a charge at the moment. Jed Beaton looks like he's reeled in about another half a second on Luke Cloud.
As we see the panning camera going around, Beaton's looking smooth. He's looking fast, and you know, Serco Yamaha right now, that management's got to be grinning from ear to ear.
Oh, for sure. Yamaha, definitely a fantastic bike out there. We like to thank the support of Yamaha throughout the season. We've got a whole bunch of sponsors, so we just like to take hats off to all them helping us out with the championship. It is fantastic to have all the support from sponsors like Thor, Yamaha. They definitely make the season go round. And Yamaha boys are definitely putting on a show right now. Jed Beaton is definitely coming, reeled in that gap between himself and Luke Cloud, just that little bit more. Cloudy, another one of these guys like Takashi, you know, he's not one of the biggest guys. Oh, Jed Beaton goes down.
Beaton is down, pushed the front end in that rudder corner, and that's going to be all she wrote for the number 12. Kept the motor running. He's going to restart there in 4th. Surprising to see how much these guys have dropped Riley Graham and the rest of the top 10. They were really moving, so that's unfortunate for Jed, but a lot of positives to take from that ride still. As we see the number 1 now, Cloudy, he's already had his crash for the motos, so Cloudy's going to bring this one home.
Yeah, 27 minutes into this moto. Luke Cloud knows exactly what he's doing for this race. Jed Beaton could have mounted a challenge there. However, Luke's just got too much gap on Jay Wilson for it to be any concern of his. I feel like he'll coast through to the finish line here and take a comfortable win. However, you can never count out. Anything can happen in motocross.
Certainly can. Now, I think there's a mindset shift in the riders a lot. I've noticed in the last couple of years that a lot of the guys, a Moto win was all they wanted. It was, obviously they had a long-term goal with the championship, but they would knock each other down. They would kill themselves to get that Moto win. Nowadays, a lot of the focus is shifted to the overalls, and a lot more of the focus is shifted to, you hear all the preseason interviews, you can't win the championship in the first round, but you can lose it. Taking a 5th or a 6th here at the first round overall, that's as good as a win, because there's a long 9 rounds to go from here. So making sure you're on the top 10, making sure you're on the podium. Like I said, Luke Clout, worst finish last year was 18th. Average finish off the podium was 7th. Pretty inconsistent, but in surprising contrast, his competitors had even more of an inconsistent season. So it really is the guys like Hamish Harwood, who we have mentioned right now, running in 15th. Normally, his under 19 season in the last couple of seasons, his off the podium worst finish was a 5th or a 6th all year. So you really get to see what that consistency can do in terms of winning a championship.
We will just read through. It is Luke Cloud, our race leader, followed by Jay Wilson. Takashi Katsuya still holds there in a 3rd, solid position. Jed Beaton after his mistaken crash. He's gone back to 4th position. Then we go back to Nato Crawford, Riley Graham, Dylan Wills. Fantastic result for Wills, He's really stepped up. He's really impressing me here. He's in a solid 7th position. Then we go back to Wade Hunter, Reese Carter and Jack Simpson. So a bit of a battle going on between Simpson and Arbonne. Having a look, their lap times very, very similar. We go back behind him outside the top 10 to Duran Stapleton. Caleb Ward, he won the most rounds last year. He's outside the top 12. He's 13th position right now. Following behind him, we have Dylan Leary, Hamish Harwood, Joel Evans, Dizzy Porter. Good to see him in there.
Back. I didn't even see Dean in the pre-rider list, so good to see Dean back. Joel Whiteman rounding out the top 20. Now, I think we had Jack Simpson go down there in the middle of the race, along with a couple of the other guys outside of the top 10. So they've started working their way back up. Top 10 in this field this year, same as what we discussed, Brendan, in MX1. You're running top 10. You're a real bad dude on a motocross bike.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were saying earlier, these classes, there's a lot of depth, and everyone is really fast this year. And I think everyone, like you said, in the top 10 is capable of winning races. So, like I said earlier, I think Luke, Clout is here to prove a point this year. And after interviewing him yesterday, he's here for business. He's ready to win, and I know he's really looking to go overseas next year and expand his career and go to America. So, he's doing all the right things to make that happen.
Having a look back through the times, it is Nathan Crawford, fastest man on track in 5th position. Jed Beaton's going to have to find a gear because he is 3 seconds a lap quicker than anyone on circuit.
Wow, Crawford. Now, he's the under-19s rider last year. Showed that blistering speed.
Swan Hill.
Swan Hill came out from the under-19s class into the guest ride on the MX2 spot in the Moto MX2 class and absolutely smoked the field in Moto 1. Took the overall win and left a lot of people in the industry scratching their heads as to why a kid in the under-19s class was beating the established pros. So no stranger to Nato Crawford going fast. Consistency was something he needed to fix last year. Hopefully he's got that on point for 2015.
You see Cloudy there looking over to try and find the last lap board. I think, it's coming in 30 minutes in now, so I think you will see the last lap board this lap.
Cloudy very aware of everything that's going on and controlling the race from the front, a lot of looking around, definitely making sure that he doesn't do anything crazy to jeopardize this last lap as he's navigating his way around some of the slower lap riders still.
And he definitely will. Luke Clout not only knows how to win a race, he knows how to win a championship. This is what he does. These guys, they're very, very blessed to have the best job in the world. I would think we'd both say, Joe, to be professional motocross racers. Luke Clout on his last lap, he's got a comfortable lead of a few seconds. He looks like he'll just coast home to the win. However, as I said before, this is motocross.
This is motocross, and this is what it's all about for this guy, Luke Clout, who, won the championship last year. Definitely took a lot of stick in the media for not being consistent and winning the championship by default. So definitely not as black and white as that, but I would like to see Cloudy put an exclamation point on this season. And judging by what he's done here in this first moto, as he puts a couple of the lap riders down, Tommy Turtle there from Tasmania, also going around Kai Wilkinson, one of the local Victorian privateers down there from near Frankston on the Davey Motorsports ride. So, Clout putting some fast guys laps down.
No, definitely. Luke Clout, he's out there. He's come to prove a point, and I think he's done exactly that. All those viewers watching at home, we'd love to hear what you have to say about the MX National season. Very exciting calendar that we have for you this year. Hashtag MXN, if you want to get involved on our Instagram and our local social media, get involved. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear what you think of the tracks, the venues, your favourite riders. Give a big shout out. We'd also like to thank our official gear of the year, Thor MX, Championship Heritage. Can't go wrong with Thor.
Certainly can't. Big thanks to all our sponsors as we are nearing the end of this first moto. Luke Clout just cruising through this last lap, and perfect way to start the season for Cloudy. A lot of confidence, knowing that you can go down and come through the field past your rivals. As we see Jay Wilson still there in second. I think he's just going to bring this one home. Awesome ride for Takashe Katsuya sitting in third.
As a racer, Joe, what does that do for your confidence? You know, he did get out to the lead. He's had a fall. He's got back up, regained his composure, and got back to the lead. Is that going to help him?
Oh, it's going to help him leaps and bounds. And as he comes through here, he's going to know that not only did he win, but he did this the hard way. Big fist pump. This means a lot to Luke Clout here to start the 2015 season. Awesome job for the Serco Yamaha rider. Luke Clout taking Moto 1. Fist pumps. Looks like Takashe had a good run. Takashe actually got second on the last lap, jet beaten. We lost Jay Wilson. Wilson finishes in fourth.
Yeah, Wilson looks like he's had a small stack there, slightly off the pace in that last lap, so I'd say he's gone down. Very exciting times, however, for Luke Clout. Jet beaten that third place position. He was buried, deep pack. However, I think the one that we need to be watching for in the next moto, Nato Crawford, coming through with a whole lot of pace in the later stages of that moto. Very, very impressive. It is, however, Luke Clout, the number 1 machine, finishing off exactly how we expected him to.
Yep, Luke Clout taking the win. Awesome to see Takashe there shaking hands with Luke Clout. Nato Crawford taking that 5th position to round out the top 10. 6th for Riley Graham. 7th for Dylan Wills. Wade Hunter coming through into that number 8 ride. So awesome ride for Hunter. Reese Carter, the number 9, and Durant Stapleton coming through to 10th in the last couple of laps. Arbon 11, Jack Simpson in the number 12 ride, followed by Caleb Ward 13. Sorry, Simpson moving up to 10th this live time and jumping around heaps on this final lap. So
yeah, a lot of boys making that dash. 30-minute motos, but on the last lap, it's where all the action happens.
As we see the pan of this awesome facility here at Horsham, Monster Energy MX1 is on the line coming up next. We definitely like to thank Motul as the MX2 class sponsor here for the 2015 season. And we're going to get ready to throw down to Brendan Harrison, who's going to be interviewing our race winner, Luke Clout, in just a second.
Thanks, boys. Here with Moto 1, the Pro Lights, Jed beaten, 3rd place. How you feel?
Yeah, I felt that Moto. The track's really technical and 6 big ruts, not lines at all across running and stuff. So it's pretty hard to get passes done, and I just made a silly mistake while I was in second. Caught all my way back to second. No tear offs, couldn't stay on it, but no, I just did the best I could with that race. Had a little tip over, and yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, solid points for the first race of the season, so you should be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that.
Here with Takashe in the 2nd place position of Moto 1 of the first season. How you feeling?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Got a decent start. I think maybe 3rd or something, and I just work myself in there. Just hang in there and see what these young kids do. It's all about experience track like this. But cloud crash, and I was going to go for lead, but I couldn't get past Jay, and I was kind of staying there. Just I didn't want to crash. I mean, it's only first round, long season. But I'd like to thank the Sony Action Camp, Kawasaki, and JB Expo for putting great effort on my bike, and yeah, looking forward to the 2nd moto.
Yeah, well done. Here we are, Moto 1 winner of the season, and series leader from last year and champion, Luke Clout. How did you feel?
Yeah, it was definitely a good race. I got off to a good start, and made some passes really early. I felt really comfortable, and yeah, just kind of had maybe like a 5 or 10 second lead, and just kind of a brain fade, and just put it down in the lead, and kind of had to ride around for about 5 minutes and adjust my bars kind of thing, and then I seen Tucker going for the lead, and I thought I have to put the hammer down here, and I started picking off some lines and hitting all my marks. So yeah, I caught onto the back of them, and I knew the laps were counting down, so I just made some passes early and quick and got away with the moto win, and looking forward to the 2nd moto, clean some things up and go for the overall.
Yeah, well there you go guys, we have it. Top 3 for the first moto of the season. Stay tuned for MX1, Moto 1 of the season 2015.
We're going to throw to a commercial break here before the opening Monster Energy MX1 Moto. Stay with us here on NRG TV.